Hey kids, you trying to get into Segment City? Well, you really shouldn't, because Segment City is a mature podcast, and listener discretion is advised. I'm just trying to look at... I know I'm in an alleyway. I know how I look, but I got some fireworks for you kids. I got snakes and I got sparklers. That's all I got. Oh, don't give me that. I was talking before the podcast with Theo, and I had Mother's Day with my family, and we had a two birds, one stone situation where my family, I had to put in a dock at a lake house as part of my being a good son. And the water was very cold. I brought swim shorts thinking that, I'm just going to go in, and then I got laughed at. So apparently, but then my dad went in with swim shorts later, and he was like, "It's actually pretty nice." So I don't know if I needed the waders that I had to wear.
Is your dad one of the people that always says it's actually pretty nice? Is that his is he always liable to say that?
I said to my mother in the moment of, I think he might get frostbite, and I don't think he would tell us about it. I think there's a high probability that he could get pneumonia from this. Yeah, just over, because it was like we missed a screw or something, and then he went to the store, got one, and then he was putting it in to finish off the dock, which I understand of getting the checklist done, but it's also I don't know. But anyway, so these waders I had to put on, not fitted for me, obviously, but I was able to get them on.
Well, if you had fitted waders, I would clown you into eternity. Know this.
You did say when I mentioned waders, you were like, that is your final form, basically.
It is. It is. This is old man Will form. Absolutely.
There are many different paths for me in life. One of them does lead to that.
I would say a lot of them lead to that, Will.
That's don't you shoehorn me. Don't you put me in a corner. I feel like there's also a pea coat version of Will in the future.
Is there a bowler hat version of Will in the future?
Oh, you know it, but he also doesn't. His family doesn't talk to him that much.
Peaky Blinders version of Will.
Oh, well, that would mean that I would have a razor in my brim of my hat, because that's what they did, right? But anyway, so I had these waders off. We finish it off. Finish the dock. I start pulling these waders off. Ladies and gentlemen, they were stuck. They were stuck on me so tight, and so my oldest brother had to come over and start tugging them off me. I was holding onto the front steps, the front porch,
you're like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but brother, please pants me, brother.
Pants me. Because my feet were, it was like the heel was stuck in. I was able to get the heel in, but that was the problem.
Was it because of the suction force, or just because of the angle?
There's multiple. It sucked in because it was cold, and it kind of constricts on you.
Yeah, right.
Also, there's a hole in it, so there was water, and I was wearing the
what?
I was wearing the swim shorts anyway, because I was like, I brought them, so I might as well use them. But so it was like rubber on skin a little bit, and so it was
rubbing
a little bit. But
you gotta peel that off.
So he was doing that, and then my dad had to come over because it wasn't. So I was like, it was like a toddler that you're trying to get PJs off of, like a onesie, and I was howling laughing because of that, because I felt like a toddler. I was just it was so stupid, and I felt so
all
dumb.
of the men of the family are working on this, just getting pants off
turns.
of you.
It's like the sword and the stone.
How many canes does it take to undress one man?
2, unless I was kind of included because I was holding on for dear life.
So kind of 3.
So 3. But that's just how it goes. Sometimes in the rivers of Segment City, a lot of fishing. A lot of people out there in waders fishing. I got to say, though, you do see me in waders. I don't think I'm a big fishing guy. I'm not a big fisherman.
I could see you out there looking for some marsh birds. I could see you become a birder.
We could be extreme birder. Yeah, I could be an extreme birder. Yeah. Maybe. My mom did have a I termed them pervert binoculars because they're massive, but they're bird watching ones, and they're twice the length of actual binoculars.
From Disturbia, just fucking scoping on people.
Yeah, well, she was scoping out a bald eagle, which is pretty cool because she saw it on perched on top, and I was like, oh wow. But binoculars, I find they're shitty. Every time I look through
The
one,
whole
I always
problem
go,
with them
this is
is
kind of blurry.
The more powerful they are, the more steady your hands have to be. If you have even a
I
tremor
don't have
in your
steady
hand,
hands.
even the slightest one, you're shaking all over the place. You're all over the map.
Can't see bullshit, and then you're trying to like spot stuff, and they're like, you see behind that one dead branch in the burrow,
And
and you're just like
trying to follow
them.
What are you putting them up to your eyes? You're taking them
You're
down.
in a tumble dryer of trees. You're like, I can't get a beat on anything.
Is this? Am I looking through a kaleidoscope? What is this?
But let's get into the intro of the podcast, Theo. Why not? My name is Will Kane, and I've been looking out the front side of these binoculars for so long. Everything's been so tiny.
And I'm Theo Sapakos, and my binoculars are just two different kaleidoscopes that I'm looking through all the time.
Your brain is in a blender the moment that you...
It's wild. It's a constant acid trip.
Yeah. And this is a podcast in which Theo and I, we dumpster dive our way through the internet. We collect all those good comedy morsels for you, package them into segments for you. And Theo, you did say you had I
had a stupid thought.
You had a stupid thought.
I have a Theo's stupid thought. So I went to a diner this past weekend. We on this podcast love a diner. Love a good diner.
Love a diner. Love them.
And I encountered the glass ketchup bottle. And I thought to myself, glass bottles are interesting because we know that Coke, for instance, Coke comes in plastic and it comes in glass, and everyone knows the glass is just objectively better. Everyone loves the glass bottle Coke. Now, ketchup also comes in plastic and glass. I don't know a single person who's out here stumping for the glass bottle because it sucks.
It's shitty.
It sucks.
It's the worst.
And
version.
It's like, Coke is like, well, we can't manufacture them all in glass bottles. It would be too costly.
Yeah.
Why isn't Heinz taking the easy gimme and stopping their glass production? No one wants this.
I only see this in diners or Johnny Rockets, which is supposed to be from the 50s. So
I know that it's like an
the
old-timey thing. I would be so willing to overlook this one transgression into the modern world that you take your plastic. If you see a plastic ketchup bottle in a diner, you don't think twice.
No.
Why would you think twice? So I was over here like an idiot smacking the bottom.
That's and the thing is, they designed it to be smacked because it has like a divot in the bottom of and you smack it so many times, and then it does a chew of
and then the flow starts, and it's like, you're right, I actually am a liquid, and it goes all over it. It's way too much.
I have always heard that the A1 sauce. For I saw a commercial. I was going to say trailer for some reason. Like there's going to be a movie for A1, but
don't put it out of the question.
I saw an A1 commercial, which by itself, weird thing to see, because I've never seen one since. But it was how hard it was to get out of the bottle just for a drop, and I'm just like,
that's an advertisement.
And I was like, I've never had a problem. Like ketchup is viscous. It does have it's a
was that actually a Sweet Baby Ray's commercial, and they were just advertising how shitty A1 is? Is that what they were doing?
No, it was like how much people really wanted it for their steak, and I was just like, but it doesn't, like every single time I have A1, it is a torrent out of the bottle.
Usually it's pretty liquidy, and they have that little stopper cap on it or whatever, so you don't get it all over the place.
Completely absurd. This ketchup bottle, though, is the worst of every world. Because I could see the glass helping
sitting
for the
with
A1. But.
Sitting with my fiance, and she was like, "What's the trick to it? Like, what do you got to do?" And I was like, "There is no trick. You just got to keep smacking the bottle."
It's not like when you have to drink Das Boot, where it's like a big glass boot that you have to turn it at a certain time. There's no turning.
There's no trick.
There's nothing.
It reminds me that we live in a soft and good modern age where we don't spend a lot of time, like back in the 50s or whatever. You want your TV to work, you smack it on the side, and it would just fix it. And you'd smack your kid to get them to start acting right. It's like, we've moved on from smacking. We've gone away from smacking, and it's for the better.
We've gone away from percussive maintenance. Yes,
exactly. And it's for the better 100% of the time.
I appreciate this outlook because for some reason in America, we have the idea of the American dream, which is the idea that future generations are going to have a better America. Mm-hmm. You're going to be better off if you do everything right. Then human nature comes in and everybody fucking complains that the kids have it easier. And I'm like, but it's better.
It's better.
It's the entire point of what we're doing here. Like, isn't that the thing that we're going for? And then everyone's like, man, they don't have to eat dirt like I had to. And it's like, yeah, that's
the
great.
point. You should want them to not have to eat dirt.
Yeah, I had so many bugs in my food growing up, and it gave me so much protein that it gave me cholera. Like,
Thanks.
Thanks, great. I had a Will's stupid thought, but it was a continuation of a thought that we didn't get back to in an earlier episode, and it was the question of what movie would be the best to be remade with Cars from the Cars universe.
Oh yeah, we talked about that.
And I had a few ideas.
Okay, yeah.
I thought Fast and the Furious would be funny no matter what.
Would they be the cars, or would they be cars driving other cars?
Both are amazing because the first is car parkour, which is a slam dunk idea. The second is the idea of having a car that is big enough to have another car within it, so it is a massive car, and then they drive that out of a plane. That's awesome too.
I also like that when they steal a car, that's basically kidnapping. Is that right?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, in the first movie, they're stealing CRT TVs with built-in VHS players or DVD players. I forget. It was like 2000. I also think Mad Max is a similar idea of like, are they the cars? Are they in the car? Are they just kind of like post-apocalyptic metal version of cars, which is great.
Well, it's like in Mad Max, it makes no sense because like it's this post-apocalyptic world, but somehow like crude oil is still like readily available. Like it's all over the place.
It's actually funny because in canon, the apocalypse is caused by an oil shortage.
Right.
Which
and then they have all these cars that they're like ripping around in.
It doesn't make any sense, but that would also be very fun for Cars universe. Spider-Man. Just swinging through the New York City.
Very good.
There's a J. Jonah Jameson one. Perfect. Just the idea of in the movie Gladiator, just having a tire drag along the tops of wheat is very funny to me. Like, and him just being like, "I'm the father of a murdered son. I am the general of your car armies." Great.
What about Titanic? They're all drowning on this boat, and they're all driving around. The whole movie, they're driving around the deck of the ship. They're having a fun, flirty time. I don't know how that love scene works because they're inside the car. Paint Me Like One of Your French Cars is very good.
Yeah, very good. And anything that was parodied by the Thumb movies that you can find on YouTube. So like Batman, Titanic, Blair Witch Project was Blair Thumb Project,
shaky
Blair
cam
Car
footage of a car.
Yeah. Going through. Casablanca would be funny.
Classic.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a drive. I don't give a vroom. I don't know what a good joke for about that. Indiana Jones, just for car Nazis, I think would be funny.
Hey, we already been through this. There are car Nazis in the Cars universe. That already exists.
Are there? Oh, shit.
We went through this. There was World War II.
I forgot everything that we talk about on this podcast. Those are my major ones. Just the concept of, and then I mean, we could joke and say sad movies because I did write down Schindler's List and then cross it out.
You definitely wrote it down and were like, we can't do that. That's not comedy.
I can only say it on the podcast in the context of me saying it's not good.
Doing it. Yeah.
I'm not doing it, but I'm still making the joke anyway. Classic Will Kane move, but most movies would be funny in the Cars universe.
What if it was March of the Penguins? That would be good with
March of the Cars.
March of the Cars.
Yeah, any documentary would be immediately funny if they had like Green Earth or whatever, Blue Earth with
Blue Planet
or
whatever.
any of BBC ones would be great.
David Attenborough narrating, that's pretty good.
But hopefully we can drive our way into your next segment.
We're going to be driving through the drive-through.
Whoa. Is that the website?
No, this is the takeout.com. Thank you to the takeout as ever.
Yeah, we're driving to takeout.
Yes. And this one is entitled Doritos Baja Fiery Mango is a collaboration we didn't need.
Thank you for saying it.
Somebody had to say it.
Clap, clap. All right, snap, snap. We love it.
Did you know that there was a there was a Doritos. I mean, there was like a Mountain Dew mango flavor. I did not know this. I'm not a soda. I'm not a soda connoisseur. I don't know if this is shocking to anybody. I don't drink a lot of soda.
No, but the Venn diagram of different fandoms, I think you're a big shoe guy and a big basketball guy. I think there's a lot of crossover with sodas. I think the fans of those do like Doritos and soda things.
I am the Venn diagram of like of liking like the crunchy granola type and the liking street culture type is like that's the Venn diagram I'm in.
Yeah, you're right. That little
I would say my dietary preferences are motivated entirely by the crunchy granola type of personality.
You do have a lot of spinach salads.
I don't like spinach salad. When I first started going out with my partner, I used to be like, yeah, I'll make a salad, and it was just spinach and dressing, and she'd be like, this is not a salad. This is not.
It is funny the difference though between your boys telling you something, because I absolutely, when we lived together, told you that's an absurd salad, and you said I don't care.
This is greens. That's all I care about.
Yes. And then when your girlfriend, then you're like, I need to make changes in my life.
No, my change was now I refuse to make the salad if we want a salad, or
so no more salads,
or we just buy a salad kit because it's low effort, good salad.
Yeah, that's a lot of them could be good flavors. I make my own salads at home. Anyway, this is the opposite of what the topic of this
article is. That's right. We've steered too far off course. Here goes the article. Doritos has teamed up with Mountain Dew to celebrate the 20th year of Baja Blast's existence. The two brands have collaborated to create a limited time soda-inspired chip flavored called Baja Fiery Mango. No, it's not exactly a Baja Blast flavored Dorito, but rather one that's adjacent to the wildly popular Mountain Dew variety. In an email announcement sent to the takeout, the chips are described as, quote, spice-packed and tangy, but very little other information was offered in terms of flavor. Is this a soda-to-chip crossover something we really needed? I dug into the sample that Doritos sent to help me find out.
Tangy. They didn't go with the obvious... I thought it was going to say sweet and spicy. That was the obvious connection to me, but they're like, ooh, nice and tangy, this chip, which kind of makes me go,
Well, tangy sort of reminds me of like, kind of like, like duck sauce, like when you get like Asian, like Chinese American food, and it's like, that's a tangy sauce that I feel like could go on a chip.
There's a lot of, but tangy to me is like sweet and sour soup. Like, it's like a slightly different, because like duck sauce to me is.
If you told me you had a sweet and sour soup flavored chip, I would demolish that. Are you kidding me? That sounds incredible.
It's mango to me is very sweet.
It's like very a tropical, like a pineapple chip. I have a hard time like equating this to anything.
Yeah, interesting.
The chips themselves have a sweet scent to them, and despite what we've come to expect from Mountain Dew's unnaturally vivid coloration, they're pretty tame looking, kind of a general shade of muted orange. So like a Dorito. For being called fiery, they don't actually look terrifying. As for the flavor, it's been a while since I've been immediately puzzled by the taste of a chip. As the mango name suggests, they are indeed sweet, but not in an appealing way.
That's not good.
Yeah, it's not in an appealing way.
You know how we have all lizard brains that really enjoys sugary stuff because, calories and all that. This is that, but you go, bleh.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
This is the uncanny valley of sweetness where it needs to be the right kind of sweet. It can't just be like, here's a nasty flavor, but sweet.
Bad sweet.
The Baja Fiery Mango Doritos do have an artificial mango aftertaste to them, but in this case, I don't exactly consider that a good thing. The other detail is that although there's a tiny slow burn to them, these Doritos aren't what I'd call spicy, which is a bummer. If you've been casually keeping up with food and beverages these days, you'll notice that the sweet spicy, aka swicy thing, continues to be a popular trend. Stop it.
That's not a hashtag takeout. You should stop forcing it. This is not a thing.
I like sweet and spicy together in some situations. I like a jalapeno cocktail. Like it. I'm about it.
Yeah.
That's a nice spice. But you have to embrace both the sweet and the spice, and they have to work together. You can't just shoehorn in spice because it's like, well, this is trendy. Like it doesn't.
Yeah,
it doesn't
it's
quite
also
work.
Like they're like Doritos. It's a weird flavor profile, because for some reason I keep thinking to myself, would this be better if it was something like peach or like a different fruit?
Yep.
And I don't think, like, mango, honestly, is probably the best bet. And even that's not very good, it sounds.
Yeah.
Which is not great.
They do note, the article says, I realize that people really love mango salsa, but these Doritos don't capture that vibe. Which I got to say, like, if you made a mango salsa inspired chip, that sounds really good. Like,
that sounds really good.
But when you say it's not mango salsa inspired, but it's spicy mango soda inspired,
Baja
I'm like,
blasts.
What is that?
Like,
that's nothing.
Is it supposed to fizz? Like, the fuck? What am I supposed to do with this?
If you're a sweet, spicy, and salty Doritos fan, I highly recommend you just stick to the spicy, sweet, chili Doritos, which is one of my favorite chip flavors ever. Doritos really hit the nail on the head with those because not only are they aggressively sweet in a good way, but that sugariness is balanced out with the strongly savory flavor of spicy, sweet chili secret ingredient, soy sauce. It's a very good note.
Ends with a review of these.
Yeah, it's like
these chili chips, and I give those a 3 out of 5.
Doritos like mailed them this little sampler, and they were like, "This is garbage, but I'm still a fan."
Yeah. I'm still shilling for you, though. Yes. Don't worry.
Well, I don't know if I care to try these. They do have some pretty exciting packaging. There's a shark. There's a wave. Oh. There's a wave made out of lava. And there's an exploding volcano in the background, all in a cool art style. But other than that, it doesn't seem like a big hit. I mean, I don't know what to do about that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not to my. I would not buy it personally. Not to my taste.
But Doritos, if you're thinking of adding someone to your mailing list, consider me. segmentcitypodcast@gmail.com.
Oh,
I'll sell my soul immediately.
Immediately,
immediately, you say.
Well, maybe we could do something
find
about
a deal.
that.
But Will, I hope that I don't have to sell my soul for your next segment.
You do not. It is now time to do a deep dive. We're gonna. This is a Wikipedia historian, not from Wikipedia. It is from allthat'sinteresting.com, which sounds like it would be a terrible website, but has
all
good
that's
information on
glitters is gold.com.
The shocking true story of Shi Pei Pu, the Chinese opera singer convicted of espionage.
Interesting.
Now, this is a story that I figured I learned about from meme pages, which is a weird source, because people would use the like a little Wikipedia thing about this guy and say this is the worst spy ever. Which I'm not going to say this is the worst spy ever. It's kind of that level. This we'll figure out kind of the morality and the sides of this. But this is like I'm going to label this as a love story that is also embroiled in espionage. That kind of ruins some parts of it. But in 1964, Bernard Biscot, he has I looked up how to pronounce his last name. I should again.
Bernard Biscotti from Southie.
No, it's how do you pronounce this? Busico. Sorry, Busico.
Okay.
It is because if I were to pronounce this with my American accent, I would say Bower-Scott.
It's a Worcester situation. All right.
It's BOUR, like sour with a B. SICOT. So it's Busico, I guess.
Busico.
In French. So we will try doing that. I will probably forget. Bernard Busico, an employee of the French embassy in Beijing, met a beautiful opera singer named Shi Pei Pu at a Christmas party. The two immediately hit it off and soon embarked on a secret 18-year-long love affair. But under Mao Zedong's Cultural Revolution, Chinese people were forbidden to mix with foreigners, and eventually Busico agreed to trade embassy secrets to the Chinese government in order to continue seeing Xi. In 1983, the French government arrested the pair for espionage. It was only then that the truth finally emerged. Xi was not a woman, which is funny.
What?
As Xi had told Busico for the duration of the affair. During their trial, Xi identified himself as a man. For nearly 20 years, he explained he had convinced Busico that he was a woman by hiding his genitals, insisting on having sex only in the dark. He even secretly adopted a child to present as their biological son. This is like the teaser for the entire thing.
Wait, in what world is this the worst spy ever? This seems like some pretty... This seems like some pretty good... This is the worst person that got tricked ever, because like you'd think you'd do some fact checking, but...
I think people kind of do a surface level viewing of this because they see an 18-year-old. I think they assume that she is straight. Like that is the built-in. I, after reading this, have come to my own kind of thing, which is I think he's complicated and is probably not straight and like male presenting or like male. There's like trans ideas going around. It's a very like cross-dressing. There's a lot of he's an interesting character on the spectrum of gender and stuff.
Well, I'm excited to hear more about this.
Yes, she and Boucicault were both convicted of espionage by the French government. In the years that followed, she insisted that their love had been real. But when she died in 2009, an embittered Boucicault reflected on their relationship, telling the New York Times, quote, "He did so many things against me that he had no pity for. I think it is stupid to play another game now and say I am sad. The plate is clean now. I am free." So he did not seem very upset that his 18-year-old love affair partner died. This is the story of Shi Pei Pu, the Chinese opera singer accused of posing as a woman to extract secrets from the French diplomat. So how did it begin? Shi Pei Pu was born in 1938 in the coastal Chinese province of Shandong. According to the New York Times, she learned French while growing up in the city of Kunming, which has a strong French influence. He attended Yunnan University, majoring in literature. By the age of 17, he had gained local recognition as an opera singer, often playing female roles. Bernard Boucicault was born in France in 1944. Throughout his youth, he attended boarding schools where he had same-sex relationships with several fellow students, which immediately pokes holes in the idea that he, like, or at least for me, pokes some ideas in holes in the idea that he had no knowledge that she was a man. Like,
yeah, I mean,
because he's already gay. Like,
already saying that makes me think like, all right, these two were like two consenting adults, and they probably were straight. They probably were honest with each other. And then because there was stigma against the idea of being in an openly gay relationship, maybe then they covered that up to like save face.
We'll get more into that, but they do have the reaction of like, what? Like it's a little too like, huh? But by the time he arrived in Beijing at the age of 20, he was seeking a relationship with a woman, believing his relations with men were, quote, a schoolboy's game. Which hey, Theo, I was a schoolboy once, and I'm going to say we didn't play that game. In 1964, while stationed in the French embassy in Beijing, Boucicault was invited to a Christmas party hosted by Claude Chayet, the second highest official of the embassy. The party was for French students, but there was a short, thin Chinese man there who caught Boucicault's eye. The two struck up a conversation, and the man told Boucicault his name was Shi Pei Pu, and that he taught Chinese to the Chayet. He taught Chinese to the Chayet children's tutor. So he was teaching Chinese to the tutor of the children, which is kind of a long. She and Boucicault soon became close friends, telling each other things they'd never felt comfortable sharing with anyone else. Then she revealed a secret that would forever change the nature of the relationship. Then we get into the tale of the butterfly lovers. At first, Boucicault and Shi's relationship was strictly platonic, as Boucicault was still determined to find a female partner.
As people who just meet and start telling each other deepest, darkest secrets kind of are. Yeah, completely normal, just guys being guys kind of stuff.
Guys being guys. Locker room talk is just like, hey, man, I don't know about this all my life.
I feel some crippling self-deprecation, anxiety kind of stuff. And, just guys being guys.
Angela wants to go, she wants to be more serious, and I don't know if I'm ready for that commitment. Anyway, you want to kiss? Then she told him a tale called The Story of the Butterfly, about a schoolgirl in ancient China named Zhu who dresses as a boy so she can attend school. While in school, Zhu falls in love with a schoolboy named Liang, who in turn is confused by his attraction to a fellow boy. Very Mulan. Eventually, Zhu's family sends for her to return home, telling her they found her husband. Before Zhu leaves, she finally reveals her true identity to Liang, and they confess their love for each other. Liang tells Zhu to marry him, and she tells him it's too late. Liang is so heartbroken to lose Zhu that he takes his own life, and Zhu, distraught over the death of his true love, visits Liang's grave. This is a big story to tell your French buddy.
This is wild because she reveals that she's a woman, and he's like, great, let's get married. And she's like,
hell yeah.
I know I
Too
just
late.
revealed this, but it's already too late.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Oh, man. So he takes his own life, and Zhu, distraught over the death of her true love, visits Liang's grave and throws herself inside to join him. The lover spirits take the form of butterflies, and they fly away, free to be together at last. That's very like old-timey Grimm's fairy tale. Ariel at the end of the actual Little Mermaid,
very
where she
Romeo
turns
and
into
Juliet.
sea foam.
Yeah.
After she told Boucicaut the story, she held up his small hands and told him, quote, "Look at my hands. Look at my face. That story of the butterfly, it is my story too." She explains that his paternal grandmother had given his mother a decree. If she did not give the family a son, Shi's father would have to take a second wife. When she was born, they realized the baby was a girl. Not wanting to lose her place in the household, Shi's mother and the midwife made a pact to raise the baby as a boy and keep the real identity secret from Shi's grandmother. She had been living as a man ever since. Realizing that she was a woman, Boucicaut suddenly saw her in a whole new light and realized they could now pursue a romantic and sexual relationship.
Wait, this is a triple cross. This is a triple cross?
Oh, it's what do you mean by triple cross?
Because
in terms of,
because she is revealing that they are a woman, but in reality they're a man.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
So this is as a man they're saying that they're actually a woman when they're actually, it's a triple cross.
It's a triple cross. And like I said earlier, there is there's a weird gender thing that's built into this that I don't know. Trans.
I don't want to mispronoun them, but it's very confusing. In terms of confusing how they are describing themselves.
And she is SHI, just for
yes,
because it sounds very similar to the English pronoun for women, she, which is kind of ironic. But at first, their romance was strained and cold. Whenever they had sex, it was always hurried under cover of darkness. Meanwhile, she continued to dress and live as a man publicly. It was only ever with Boucicaut that she lived as a woman. Eventually, Boucicaut's assignment came to an end. Shortly before Boucicaut left China in the winter of 1965.
I love that, like, it's hurried under the cover of dark. It's like, quick, the sun is coming up, faster, go! Now. I turn back into a pumpkin when the sun comes up.
Yeah, don't. And then you have the sheets up like your TV character after sex. I'm like, ooh, we're not going to show anything. Right. But after Boucicaut said that it was going to leave in the winter of 1965, she told him she believed she was pregnant. Quote, "I will be back," he told her. "For sure. I don't know how. Just remember I will be back."
This also was during a time when people would just leave for potentially years at a time. So maybe they are easier to hoodwink. Like, this is your son.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Like, how are you supposed to know? You haven't been here.
But here's the thing. 4 years later, Bernard Boucicaut kept his promise. He returned to Beijing, this time as an archivist for the embassy. But he had to come back to a very different Beijing. Mao Zedong's Cultural Revolution had begun, and Chinese citizens were not allowed to mix with foreigners without the approval of the Chinese government. Still, bent on finding his lover and possibly his child, Boucicaut wrote that Shi Pei Pu, and the very first day he got back, spent days searching for her. When he finally found her, she told him that she had given birth to his son the summer after he left. But she explained that because the boy was half European, she'd have to send him to live with family near the border of Russia out of fear for his safety. Boucicaut would not meet his son for years. During that time, at great risk to his own safety, he continued to visit Shi under the guise that she was teaching him about the Cultural Revolution. One day she took...
Why do you keep going back for more lessons? It's not that complicated. I'm just a big idiot. I gotta go back for more lessons, you know.
So what did you guys do? You overthrew the government?
That's wild, man.
I couldn't imagine that as a Frenchman. Like, wow, we've never had that in our country. One day, she told Boucicault that a Beijing city government representative will be taking over Boucicault's teacher. A man named Kang soon showed up at Shi's house while Boucicault was visiting. Sensing that Kang was a police officer, Boucicault offered the Chinese government something in exchange for continuing his relationship with Shi.
So my sixth sense is knowing who cops are. You're a cop. I have a sixth sense.
This is where, like, Boucicault, I feel like, loses any kind of
credibility,
relatability, and moral high ground, anything, because he immediately, like, he goes out of his way, because he could have cut the relationship off at this point and said, all right, see ya, this is the police now, like, bye. Quote, how can I help the people? Boucicault asked Kang. If, for example, we had news at the embassy... Thus began Boucicault's work as a spy for the Chinese government.
I'm just a guy of the people. How can I help the people? I'm just some guy that knows secrets.
Just little secrets of the French government. It's okay if I give them for love so I can bang this opera singer. He regularly gave Chinese officials reports from the French embassies in Moscow and Washington, and his relationship with Shi was allowed to continue. She later claimed to not have any knowledge of Boucicault's espionage, which this is also why I'm going to say they're bad spies in that. Well, I won't spoil when they get caught, but they immediately are like, what are you talking about? And it's like so obvious. Like, you guys are the most obvious liars. Quote, I was unaware that my friend Bernard Boucicault had given documents to the Chinese authorities, and most particularly to an individual named Kang, whom he would meet at my house in Beijing outside of my presence and without me knowing about it. That is the most curated, like, Chinese communist, like, we have a hand on this story. It is total obviously denial. Being manipulated. Yeah. Of like, I have no knowledge. It's like when you get any mafia guy on the stand and they're like,
I didn't know. I didn't know
you want
nothing.
me to know? You want me to think about October the 3rd, 1974? Oh, that's interesting. I have no knowledge of any day in that October, actually. That's crazy.
Where am I right now? I have no memory. I am an amnesiac. I don't know what's going on.
This guy, by the way, looking at a picture of Boucicault, he like looks like Marlon Brando. He looks like a young Marlon Brando. He's a handsome guy. So he is like, he could have, this is another point of like, I think he knew, because he kept on this relationship with a person that like, he could have gone back to France and had a relationship with a woman there. I think
Who's to say he wasn't?
Who's to say he wasn't? But in 1973, Boucicault was allowed to meet his son, Shi Du, who was now 7 years old. And I got this, am I pronouncing Pu as Pooh correct in Shi Pei Pu's name?
I think so.
Because Shi Du after the son of Shi.
I think
this is one of those like cultural or like translation issues where it's like
these names sound like names that somebody who didn't know anything about the culture would come up with.
It's like joke terms, like a bad comedy. Like that's
when you just kind of roll your eyes at it. Yeah.
I know these are like probably normal names, but in English they are terms for poo-poo. So and
we're always going to laugh at poo-poo jokes. So you can't stop us on this podcast.
So Shi Du, who is now 7 years old, she claimed that because the country was becoming more liberal, it was finally safe to bring the boy home. For a few blissful weeks, they were able to be together as a family. Then Boucicault's visa ran out and he was forced to return to France. So this is when he gets arrested. Bernard Boucicault quit his job as a diplomat and moved back to Paris, where he started a relationship with a man named Thierry, Thierry.
That sounds like a fantasy bullshit name.
Theory. I want to pronounce it as an Irish name. Like that sounds like a weird Irish name. Theory. But he soon became restless and he wanted to see Shi and their son. He asked Theory if he could bring Shi and Shi Du to live with them in Paris. Theory reluctantly agreed. So this is another point of like, Busiko is not straight. I don't think he's fully straight. He's at least bi. Because he's like most of the relationship, he has never had, to my knowledge, they don't say in this article, a relationship with a woman. So like hard to come to any other conclusion. She and Shi Do arrived in 1982. That kind of rhymed. She Do arrived in 1982 and moved in with Busiko and Theory. She quickly built a new opera career for herself, though she still maintained her male identity in public, realizing that she may need to return to China at some point. However, all of the romance between Shi and Busiko was gone. Busiko saw the relationship as one of duty or obligation, but they continued to live together in Paris for the next year, until 1983, where they were both arrested for espionage. Late in 1982, the French government had been conducting what they claimed was a normal surveillance of Chinese diplomats in Paris. Normal surveillance.
That's a normal phone tapping. It's normal.
Just a little bit. Just for fun. Just for me.
Just a little.
just for fun. So when they discovered something interesting, quote, the relationship between Bernard Busiko, identified in their files as a civil servant at the Ministry of Exterior Relations posted abroad, and a Chinese national, later identified as Shi Pei Pu, who was living at Busiko's address. In June 1983, the French security agents arrested Busiko and charged him with espionage. A week later, they arrested Shi. That's when Shi's lies began to unravel.
Oh, geez.
So now we get a plot twist. An investigation soon revealed that Shi Pei Pu's story about being born a girl and being forced by her parents to live as a boy was patently false. So yes, it was
just from the jump. It was not true. Okay.
In prison, medical examinations showed Shi had intact male genitalia. She demonstrated to doctors how he was able to hide his genitals during sex to convince Busiko he was a woman. This is where there's multiple layers to this. There is a possibility that Busiko was just so in the closet, or like that he had never seen a woman's genitals and was like, yeah, sure, that's what they look like. Like,
I have a hard time believing that being in France, you'd have no idea. I question that.
Yeah, both their stories are so filled with holes. Like, neither of them are trustworthy. They're literally spies. In investigation, able to hide. Later, she testified in court that he was a man. Quote, I never told Bernard I was a woman, she said to the judge. I only let it be understood that I could be a woman. That is some double speak.
That's crazy. That is such a nonsense sentence.
Nonsense. But this raised another question. How had she given birth to Busiko's son? Right. And I think you probably know the answer. It's very easy to get a kid. Son? Yeah. At first, she claimed that Shi Do was indeed Busiko's biological son, but had been conceived through the artificial insemination. But as it turned out, she had adopted Shi Do when he was 4 years old. Yep, that's
wild.
As reported by the Telegraph, Shi Du's mother had sold him as their family was part of the Uyghur ethnic group, which is being oppressed and impoverished in China, and has continued to be, and even worse off because the ongoing reports of, from a very nice view, mistreating them is the nicest thing you could say that the Chinese government is doing to the Uyghurs. They're wiping them out. Anyway, distraught over the lies he had been told for nearly 20 years, Busiko attempted suicide in his prison cell after awaiting trial. Thankfully, he survived, but he never quite forgave Shi Pei Pu. And this is another one of those, it could be multiple things. It could be outed, and he doesn't, like, some people have very drastic responses to that. It could be just being a spy and, like, knowing that it's not going to end well.
Yeah, right. Being in a foreign prison, yep.
There's a lot of stuff that could go. But ends with an international scandal. Both Shi Pei Pu and Bernard Busiko were convicted of espionage and sentenced to 6 years in prison, which honestly doesn't seem like that much. Like 6 years.
That many, I mean, maybe they looked at the secrets that were told and were like, yeah, he didn't actually know that much.
You think it was like, so the diplomat, you know his name. Yeah. So, I heard that he has a private bathroom that he doesn't let the employees into, and I'm pissed about it.
He keeps a jar of peanut butter at his desk, and he just puts his whole finger in there.
He puts his whole dang finger into it. But I saw the janitor, and they were sticking their dicks in it. Anyway, that's
what? That's
the guy's in the courtroom, and he's like, "Whoa,
whoa!" The janitor's like, "Yeah, I did it."
But less than 1 year later, she received a presidential pardon, which is, reportedly the French government did not want to endanger relations with China over, quote, a very silly case. Boucicaut received a pardon a few months later. This is one of those times that, like, sometimes rules just don't apply that hard to certain people, and it's like for
it seems like
random reasons. It's like, who's going to give a shit about this guy? Like, the Chinese government doesn't give a shit. So
right.
I think it was just because everybody was kind of embarrassed about it. Like, it's just a weird thing all around.
I mean, it's an interesting story, but it's also like, has anything actually happened that was wrong other than them telling? I mean, yeah, they should be punished for like telling, he's telling foreign secrets, but
they do go like they don't talk about in the article what secrets he gave because they could be big things, but also like nobody seems to care all that much. Right. So I don't know how big it is. During the trial, the case of Shi Pei Pu and Bernard Boucicaut had sparked a media frenzy, and people around the world became fascinated by this tale of forbidden love and espionage. The story even inspired the 1988 Tony Award-winning play M. Butterfly, which in turn was adapted into a movie by the same title in 1993. So this is a well-known, been put into movie. Like a lot of these stories that we talk about, we're like, why haven't they made this into a movie?
They have made
and
this
it's like
into a movie.
they made this into a movie because it's so good. After being released from prison, she remained in Paris with Shi Du and continued to use male pronouns. Although Boucicaut and she exchanged contact a few times over the years, it was always strained. While she had claimed to still love Boucicaut harbored resentment towards his former lover. Shi Pei Pu died in 2009 at the age of 70, which pretty long life. Like pretty
70,
life too. Yeah. In recent years, some have speculated that she may have been a transgender woman and that it was perhaps a lack of terminology or fear of violent repercussions that prevented she from living freely as a woman. In any case, it appears she had a fluid approach to gender. Quote, I used to be fascinated by both men and women, she said in 1988 interview, what I was and what they were didn't matter. So that kind of makes me think non-binary, maybe like that's right. If we maybe want it's to just, assign a gender thing, but it's also like this person's journey that they are now passed away. So it's like case kind of closed for them, but it's
interesting story though.
It's interesting because there's a lot of motives. Some motives I don't necessarily understand. I don't know how Shi Pei Pu was probably working with the government. I could see that of like, go to this, right, like the initial conference of like, this is the tutors teacher, I guess, and then landed this big mark, I guess, and then continued using them. Maybe that was it, but I don't know. I guess it was just threat of like punishment for she. But Bernard was going out his fucking way. Like he was really. He was going right off
the rip. He was like, "So, do you want my secrets? Do you want everything I have? Do you want me to just tell you all of my state secrets?"
There's multiple times too that he could have broken it off. He had another relationship. He was actively, but I guess he thought that they had a child. But then it gets into the weird part of like, okay, well, if they did know that if Bernard knew that she was a man all along, why would he be hoodwinked by Shi Du? Like, why would that work? Like,
I don't know.
That's why this is a
maybe
weird mix.
They just were. Yeah, I mean, I want to believe that they were much more honest with each other, and I mean, it's still a sad story if they were like fearing retribution and trying to pass off this life look as normal as possible. But at least they're not lying to each other in that case. I mean, the other alternative is that they're just straight up lying to each other all the time.
And they're also idiots. Like it's either like, what kind of Coen Brothers movie do you want? Or what kind? Hey, do you want a Coen Brothers movie, or do you want like a nicer romance, like A24 movie?
Right.
It's one of those two, and that's why I find this interesting. Other than just kind of the mind games both parties were kind of playing.
Yeah.
But anyway, hopefully your next segment is as tricky and sneaky as these spies.
Oh, it is, Will.
Oh, whoa.
It's as tricky and as sneaky. This one is in the news, and it comes to us from fortune.com. And it's from the tech and AI sector, which we, inundated with news about AI these days. But this one is entitled Bumble's Whitney Wolf, who is the founder of Bumble. So Bumble's Whitney Wolf Heard says your dating AI concierge will soon date hundreds of other people's concierges for you.
Oh, I heard about. I just heard the headline for this. I thought this was going to be the other headline that's been big about Bumble. Is
What's that?
they the whole thing about Bumble, for people who don't know, is that women message first. Like you match with people, but the woman has to do the first. They're now getting rid of that feature.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
They're getting rid of the feature, and everyone's like, "What's the fucking point then?"
No, what's the differentiator?
And
right?
it's funny because it's the kind of hair ripping logic that women were like, it's hard. Like they quoted women being like, it's hard to make the first approach.
It's hard for both sides.
No shit.
It's hard for both sides. Yeah,
it's like
everybody's nervous about it.
It's so like, but anyway, well, this is worrisome.
Here's the article.
I
have discussion points about this after we read the article. So here's the article. Imagine this. You've dated 600 people. You've dated, in quotes, 600 people in San Francisco without having typed a word to any of them. Instead, a busy little bot has completed the mindless getting to know you chatter on your behalf and has told you which people you should actually get off the couch to meet. That's the future of dating, according to Whitney Wolf Heard, and she'd know. Wolf Heard is the founder and executive chair of Bumble, a meeting and networking platform that prompted women to make the first move. While the platform has now changed this aspect of the algorithm, yeah, there it is, like you said.
Yep.
Wolf Heard said the company would always keep its North Star in mind, a safer, kinder digital platform for more healthy and more equitable relationships. Always putting women in the driver's seat, not to put men down, but to actually recalibrate the way we all treat each other. Which is a good North Star. I still don't.
Classic. The fact that we're gonna save the world with a dating app. Like,
it's crazy that they had their identity be like, this is the one where women message first, and they must have looked at some metrics and been like, it doesn't actually matter to our user base. But I still have a hard time with that.
The dating apps are a weird market because intrinsically you want to hold on to people, like users, and if they actually have a stable match, they don't use the dating service. Isn't that the whole shtick of like Hinge? They had some slogan that was like the last dating app you'll ever use or something like that, because it's like the point is that you're gonna uninstall it. Yeah, but that's not good for business. Right. So I think they were like, business is not doing good.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, this is an infinite well. You infinitely have people coming online that are looking to date, right? Like, so if somebody moves out of the system, that's fine. There's 10 people coming down the pike to fill their place, right?
That's not how capitalism works.
I know it's not.
They have to have like more than the population of the world by third quarter, please.
So, like any platform, Bumble is now navigating itself in the world of AI, which means rethinking how humans will interact with each other in an increasing age of chatbots. Wolf Heard told Bloomberg Technology Summit in San Francisco this week it could streamline the matching process. Quote, if you really want to get out there, there is a world where your AI dating concierge would go out and date for you with other dating concierges, she told Emily Chang. Truly. And then you don't have to talk to 600 people. It will scan all of San Francisco for you and say, these are the 3 people you really ought to meet. Thoughts on that statement, Will? The fact that basically they're like, well, you can basically have your own personal chatbot do filtering for you.
Why? So the idea behind this is to make it easier for you to date and get the best matches. This feels like a more convoluted way of OkCupid's question system. Like, because
that's kind of what I'm thinking too. Is it's like they're saying chatbots are chatting with each other. Well, like, how is that any different from just an algorithm that's doing that?
Yeah, it's because you would have to input information to have the AI be close to you, or else it's a bad AI by itself.
It has to be genuinely representative of your feelings and opinions about a partner, right? Like,
but they're not having like, are they having an actual chat? Like, can they pull up logs in the database of like, I enjoy Star Wars. I also enjoy Star Wars. Which episode? Episode 2. And they go, date ended. Like, I don't like you anymore. Like,
I also feel like this is kind of like, what was it they call, like the Indian cobra problem, or the infinite cobra thing, which is like,
oh yeah,
they're scared about people having to interact with chatbots, so they want to make sure that you're filtered down to talking to real people. And how are they doing that? They're introducing a chatbot for every single person. Like, you're creating the problem. You understand that, right? Like, if you're concerned about your customers having to interact with chatbots and not real people, stop introducing chatbots.
Yeah, but it's their chatbots.
But ours are going to be different. It also makes me nervous for being on a platform like this. Like, how would you ever guarantee that you weren't talking to a chatbot? Like,
people, that's already the problem now, that people, but it's usually easy to see if it's like, usually it's too good to be true. If it looks too good to be true, it probably is on dating apps. Yeah. Like, sorry to say, but it's, what are they talking? Like, what's the difference between this and an algorithm would be my first question. Like you said, like, I don't think there is.
So the article continues, and forget catch-up with friends, swapping notes on your love life. What? AI can be the metaphorical shoulder to cry on. What? Artificial intelligence, which has seen massive amounts of investment since OpenAI disrupted the market with its ChatGPT large language model, can help coach individuals on how to date and present themselves in the best light to potential partners.
No.
So, for example, you could, in the near future, be talking to your AI dating concierge, and you could share your insecurities. Wolf Herd explained.
No. Oh, don't do that.
I've just come out of a breakup. I've got commitment issues, and it could help you train yourself into a better way of thinking of yourself.
Tell us your deepest, darkest secrets. No, I want to use it against you. What are you talking about? Like, we're best friends. I'm your coach. I'm your relationship coach. What are you talking about?
This is like the most capitalistic way of saying, if you have problems, you should probably see a therapist. Like, what they're describing is therapy, but what they're saying is you're not actually self-improving. What you're doing is learning from a chatbot about how to present that in the most attractive light to a potential partner. Like, that's not genuine self-improvement. That's not actual self-reflection.
Yeah, this is the bad combination of like American views on things, of like trying to, self-improvement is a very American thing apparently. Like I've like heard some podcasts about it, and that seemed to be like a conclusion that they drew, is that because we don't view outside like we're very individualistic and try to build ourselves up, and so it's like that combined with just like the worst capitalist, like also just like time saving, but for what? Like you're getting rid of the meat. Like you're trying to cut fat from the dating process, and you're cutting meat and bone, because they're like getting rid of that getting to know you stuff. And I'm like, that's to know you.
That's what a relationship is.
That's what it is.
That's what a relationship is. It's the foundation of every relationship that has ever existed, is somebody talking to another person and getting to know them. Like there's no replacing that.
Whoa, what? Oh, fuck, dude. My bean.
My bean. So the next subheading is called "Bot Love is Just a Fad." No, the intersection between bots and romance is already ringing some alarm bells for the public. In 2021, the AI companion app Replica came under scrutiny after authorities in the UK saw a 19-year-old man planning to assassinate the Queen after he was encouraged by an AI girlfriend built on the app.
I didn't know, which is insane. You know what you should do, Dave? Kill the Queen.
She holds the power. Experts have also expressed concerns about a perceived void of a legal or ethical framework for apps that encourage deep bonds, but are owned by companies that ultimately need to make a product. Yeah, there's no world in which they are incentivized to get you off of the platform if you're consistently interacting with their bot. Like,
yes, they want you to stay on it, and also these people do not have your best interests in mind.
Yep.
Like, so full stop.
Experts say they've seen emotional stress in users after companies make changes to their apps or even shut them down, the way Soulmate AI did in September. I can't even imagine anybody going and being like, you know what I need? I need a product called Soulmate AI in my life. That's crazy pants.
Lonely people. I think this kind of thing is going to be a reoccurring. I think it's a story that's going to build. I think a lot of people are going to get into these AIs, like a lot of lonely people out there.
Yeah. Furthermore, an analysis of 11 romantic chatbot apps released in February by nonprofit Mozilla Foundation found that nearly every app tested sells their user data, shares it for advertising, or doesn't provide adequate information about these points in its privacy policies. Yes. Tell us your deepest, darkest secrets. Why not?
We'll sell them for profit.
Yeah. While Bumble is a far cry from AI-generated partners, Wolf Herd brushed off such concern about the wider industry. Quote, it's a little freaky, she said, but it's a fad. I mean, listen, I'm sure there are people out there that might form friendships with some form of AI, and that's fine. But our focus with AI is to help create more healthy and equitable relationships. This is like peak startup energy being like, we have to be on the ball. Like, we have to do the next big tech or else we won't get enough funding to keep living.
Yeah. There's apparently, I read an article that was somebody went to CES like this last year or the year before, and how everything was AI.
Yeah.
Because it is a marketing term, and that's how, like, it is the new blockchain. It's the new Bitcoin. Like, it's the new, but it's I saw somebody online say a very good synopsis of AI stuff of, I don't think AI is going to take your job immediately. Like that's a little bit in the future. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean that your boss doesn't think that AI can take your job. Like, I think that's the bigger threat. And this just makes me wonder, do you think that our generation who largely, I would say at this point, the majority of people that I know that have met their partner have done so through an app. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot of people that I know. It's a lot of people. Yeah.
Do you think
my first relationship was?
Do you think that our generation has like just managed this perfect golden window, and like the party is coming to an end, and like AI is going to insert itself so hard into these apps that it's going to be a hellscape to use?
It's already a hellscape. I read a lot of articles about dating because I find it like interesting, the sociological and psychological stuff. I think people are mad about dating apps, and I think there's a lot of stuff about like COVID and like the people talk about like the ratios on Tinder of like there's a crazy amount of men and there's like no women comparatively. Like that's part of it. Like, it's not a good experience for women. I think that's why Bumble, like, it's kind of disappointing that Bumble took away the like messaging first, because it's like that was the whole thing. Like, that was to make them comfortable. So I thought you were going to say, are we going to be the last generation to have human girlfriends? Like,
no, I wouldn't go that far. I mean, I just don't know. Like, is having a chatbot in the middle of your getting to know you going to be a normal thing? Like, you're messaging with someone and you don't know what to say, and so you just ask ChatGPT, and like, what does that say about the relationship that you're forming? That, like, you know, you're helping, you're having a generative AI help you. I know that some people have trouble forming their thoughts into coherent sentences, and so they will use that as an excuse. I think that part of that is the human experience, and working through that is worthwhile. Like, I don't think that offloading responsibility and being like, I'm just not good at forming my thoughts, that's not a good enough excuse. Like, try. Get better at it. Like,
they're streamlining the human experience, and that's what I don't like. That's like, there's something, because like they're smoothing
washer
machines are great. Like, washer machines
it is freeing up my time.
Yeah,
it's manual labor.
Getting to know people is not wasting time. It's doing something that is worthwhile. I just thought of, in my head, I thought is it chat? You create a AI version of yourself and it chats with other AI versions of yourself, or is it doing the first few sentences or like of the messaging?
I think it's the former. It's the former. It's chatbots interacting with other chatbots, which goes back to your question of like, can you pull up logs? Like, what does this look like?
Yeah, I don't understand how that. I guess it just would show you like 3 people and go, these are the best ones. I guess,
but like, how is your algorithm already not doing that?
This is also literally a Black Mirror episode of like, we found your perfect mate, like, and it's this person that you don't necessarily like. I think that's like a common sci-fi. I think I've seen that in multiple things, but Black Mirror comes to mind first. Wild. I heard about the replica stuff because people were genuinely distressed because it basically, it had like sexual language and you could have like a romance with them, and then it went to like very cold in their viewpoint. It's a weird niche community.
So it's the same patch that they did for Baldur's Gate, where all of the characters start off super horny and then they tune them down.
It is exactly that. They turned it down, and people were like, but I like the horny. I wanted the horny. I kind of relied on it. We'll keep up to date. We'll see how it progresses, but I am not that happy with how people are responding to AI and making it weirder and very dystopian. But hopefully our world does not end in a dystopian hellscape like this podcast just did.
Wow.
This is the end of the podcast, Theo. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Remember, if you have any segments you want to send to us, send it to segmentcitypodcast@gmail.com. Hit up our YouTube, Segment City. And if you have any star ratings or reviews you want to leave, if you enjoyed the episode, we love to see them on your podcast network of choice, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, anything like that. And we have a big thank you to give to somebody in particular.
That's to Rachel Robinson. She does our intro music, and she has other fabulous music you can find on your streaming platform of choice. And some say that she's just a chatbot, and we've been hoodwinked this whole time.
Don't tell me that. I've had calls with her recently, and that would freak my gourd, dude.
That would
freak
my
bean.
Yeah.
My bean. Oh, fuck. It would freak my bean. My bean is going to be freaked by also how many people are goddamn poisoned on this
Stop
earth.
getting poisoned.
We are on iwaspoisoned.com, the last segment of this episode where we are going to before I start on this last thing, apparently people I this is not the one I'm going to be doing, but I scrolled down and I saw one that had a blurred not safe for work picture.
Wait, they can do that on I Was Poisoned?
It has like a spoiler not safe for work.
Do I want to know?
I clicked on it because I was like, what is this? And people commented, why do people post their vomit/diarrhea? Nobody wants or need to see that. If you're compelled to show your waist, show your doctor. Apparently, people are showing pictures. This is a picture of vomit. It is disgusting. So, hey, any users of iwaspoisoned.com, cut it out.
Stop it.
I enjoy when they just have, this one has just wrappers, which is funny for Burger King. But anyway, this is the actual post I wanted to highlight. This is Burger King, Mercedes Street in Pamplona, Spain. Last night I ordered a hamburger. Around 6 a.m, I started to feel sick. Vomiting, diarrhea, stomach pain. The hamburger, I threw up hamburgers. And the chuga. What is a chuga? I don't know. Maybe it's a Spanish term that
for
did
lettuce,
translate.
lechuga?
No, it just says chuga. So maybe it's maybe that's a shortening. Maybe that's some slang. I don't know. I didn't eat anything else. Later, I feel very sick. I've never had this before. It's not happening to me.
It's not happening to you.
That's how
Who is it happening to?
That blew my fucking gourd, dude.
Blew my gourd, dude.
Because I was like, whoa, that was a plot twist. It's not happening to me. Who is it happening to, though, dude? Come on, tell me. But anyway, that is the last nasty thing of this podcast.
The chuga.